And for our look at the French papers this Monday, joined by Nicholas Rushworth here on set. Nick.
Hi to you, Stuart, and hi to everybody. Of course, what we're seeing now, the end of August, la rentrée, and the workers are back, not just in the factories and the shops and the streets and so on. We've got actually the government back at work. And I want to go straight to Aujourd'hui en France, Le Parisien, what a headache, le gouvernement en plein doute there. It's got 4 issues this week to tackle about pensions reform, penal reform, the social security system. But the main attention is focusing on the pensions reform. Le gouvernement en plein doute. Pourquoi? Why? Because it has to juggle various interests and has to find a formula that will perhaps suit everybody. That paper is saying that it does all that in a mood of total fed-upness, Stuart, at all those bills and taxes that you've been getting through the post in your letterbox. French people are fed up with the extra burden they have to pay.
Total fed-upness about coming back to work as well, like me. That paper also has an interview, doesn't it, with one of the main union leaders.
Well, this union leader is called Jean-Claude Mailly, and he's the leader of the Force Ouvrière, which in a franglais title is really actually, what would it be? It'd be workers' power, wouldn't it? They're the most militant union. There you can see a photo of him. And the headline there, do not touch my pension system, which is basically, do not touch the length of time, the period of time that he and I and you and all workers in France have to pay to get their retirement. So it's a very complicated system in France. But he's saying on the table now there will be a need to plug a €7 billion hole for the pension deficit. Now it says do not put the burden on the workers to make them pay over a longer period, 42 years or 43 years. That's a horror story for French people. And he is saying there, listen, if you can find €7 billion for a bank like Dexia to bail out in a jiffy, why didn't you do the same thing for the pension system? So that's its take on that.
Yeah. It does seem to be the big top story, if you like, of the rentrée and of today as well.
Well, yeah, we're back to the mainstream political situation with the politicians banging away at each other. I want to go to Libération, La Une here. You can see there, les décisions, c'est maintenant. And the paper there, the left-wing paper, is saying the decisions this week and the coming days will set the tone for the rest of this 5-year term. It will really be crucial because lots of things, not just pensions reforms, on the table. I want to go to another paper. It's a right-wing one called L'Opinion. And it's saying that the government is hesitating so much on the pensions reform that it's actually like doing a Michael Jackson moonwalk. It's sort of hesitating like as if it's going backwards almost. The quote in that piece in L'Opinion is from a senator in the Socialist Party saying, there's nothing to worry about. There's no need to hurry about all these things. And then another Socialist MP, perhaps worried about his constituency and his political future, is saying, hold on, we're not getting it right here. We're going to end up with a mini reform, a reformette, no less, on pensions. And that will just mean we'll have to revamp everything in 2017. So the divisions within the Socialist Party, of course, about these reforms.
OK, well, that's all the stories in the French newspapers here in France. Another top story, of course, inevitably, is the continuing situation in Syria, isn't it?
Well, Le Figaro has a piece, an interview with Laurent Fabius, who is the French foreign minister. And there, the headline you can see is Assad does not give a fig about international law. Fabius is quoted saying the solution to the Syrian crisis has to remain political overall, but faced with the horror of what we've seen in the recent days with the chemical weapons attack in Damascus, what we've got now is a situation where dialogue just becomes more difficult. But Western powers are obliged to give a strong response despite obstacles in the UN.
And for Libération, the headline there is military intervention is no longer a taboo.
Well, it has a quote from François Hollande, the president, in his phone call to Barack Obama, saying that everything was consistent with the argument designating the Assad regime as responsible for the chemical attack. So there, Hollande reacting, saying, again, that something has to be done. I just want to end on an article in Le Parisien from a military expert saying that, well, red lines were crossed in Bosnia from 1992 to 1995. What happened? Nothing was done, except in 1995, after 3 years. So the argument there in that piece is that with Syria, we're in it for the long haul. Not pretty.
Nick, thanks very much. Nick Rushworth with his look at today's French newspapers here on France 24. Lots more coming up, of course. All the latest news right after the break. Do stay with us if you can.
This week we're down to earth in Egypt. This area here in Cairo is known as Garbage City. It's a neighbourhood that's drowning in waste, but it's home to the city's Zabaleen people, a community that's become so adept at treating this trash it rivals the most modern waste management systems in the world.
Don't miss Down to Earth, Thursday 5:40 p.m. Paris time on France 24.
Down to Earth, brought to you by the African Development Bank.